coming up.
They will refer to me as Wild King Nights. I would have to go and prep that hotel room.
Sean Diddy Combs, already on trial for sex trafficking.
Baby oil, Astroglide, drugs.
Now, his personal assistants.
I had to clean up those rooms.
New allegations of vile behavior.
It was frightening. His eyes, they were just black.
That's next.
The walls are closing in on Sean Diddy Combs, and the most devastating blows aren't coming from prosecutors or rivals. They're coming from the people who knew him best. His own former assistants are stepping into that Manhattan courtroom and dropping bombshell after bombshell that could send the hip-hop mogul away for life. What they're revealing isn't just shocking, it's absolutely destroying any chance Diddy had of walking free. For decades, Sean Combs built an empire on image, power, and control. But that carefully crafted facade is crumbling as his former inner circle takes the witness stand. These aren't outsiders making accusations. These are the people who lived in his world, who saw behind the curtain, and who are now ready to tell the truth about what really happened in Diddy's kingdom of chaos. The federal courthouse in Manhattan has become ground zero for one of the most explosive celebrity trials of our time. Diddy faces charges that could lock him up forever: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and forcing people into prostitution. But it's not just the charges that are shocking everyone. It's who's testifying against him and what they're revealing about life inside his operation. Enter Capricorn Clark, the former assistant who once called her boss the devil, and she's about to prove why that nickname fits perfectly. Clark isn't just another disgruntled employee. She was there for some of Diddy's most allegedly criminal moments, including a jealousy-fueled break-in that shows just how far this mogul would go when his control was threatened. It's December 2011, and Diddy discovers that rapper Kid Cudi is dating his on and off girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. What does a normal person do when they're jealous? Maybe they argue, maybe they move on. But according to testimony, Diddy's response was to force his assistant Capricorn Clark to accompany him and his security team as they broke into Kid Cudi's Hollywood Hills home. Clark was so terrified during this alleged break-in that when she called Kid Cudi to warn him, the rapper said she sounded very scared and on the verge of tears. Think about that for a moment. This woman was so frightened by what she was witnessing that she risked everything to warn the victim. That's not the behavior of someone making up stories. That's someone genuinely traumatized by what they were part of. Clark also received a chilling email from Cassie Ventura on December 23, 2011, where Cassie wrote that a jealous Diddy was threatening to release intimate videos of her and planning to have someone hurt me and Scott Mescudi physically. When someone's own girlfriend is that terrified, you know the situation has gone way beyond normal relationship drama. What makes Clark's testimony so devastating is how it fits into a larger pattern that other former assistants are describing. This isn't just about one bad day or one moment of poor judgment. Multiple witnesses are painting a picture of systematic control, intimidation, and abuse that went on for years. David James, another former assistant, told jurors about the paranoia and control that defined working for Diddy. He testified that Diddy once forced Clark to take a lie detector test after she was robbed, not to help solve the crime, but to make sure she wasn't involved in stealing from him. James also revealed the armed confrontation with rival Suge Knight, where he found himself driving Diddy to what could have been a deadly shootout. "Motherfucking drive," Diddy allegedly ordered, sitting in the back seat with 3 guns in his lap. James thought he might die that night, all because his boss couldn't handle business disputes like a normal person. But perhaps the most heartbreaking testimony comes from George Kaplan, another former assistant who witnessed the alleged abuse of Cassie Ventura firsthand. On Diddy's private jet in 2015, Kaplan heard Cassie screaming from the bedroom, crying, "Isn't anybody seeing this?" as the sound of crashing glass filled the cabin. When Kaplan turned around, he saw Diddy standing over a cowering Cassie, holding a whiskey glass high in the air. And here's the most chilling part. Nobody helped. A plane full of security guards and assistants, and everyone just turned away as the screaming and glass breaking continued. That's not just abuse. That's a system where abuse was normalized and enabled. These assistants aren't just testifying about dramatic moments of violence and crime. They're revealing the day-to-day reality of working for someone who demanded absolute control over every aspect of life around him. Kaplan described having to clean up hotel suites filled with empty bottles, empty Gatorade bottles, empty liquor bottles, and often baby oil, the alleged crime scenes where Diddy forced people into the freak-offs that are central to the prosecution's case. The level of control was obsessive. Toiletries had to face forward and be ready for use. Hotel rooms had to be stocked with specific items like applesauce, Jell-O, and Fiji water. Everything had to be perfect for the king of his twisted kingdom. But the real revelation comes from James's description of Diddy's medicine bag, which contained everything from Viagra to pills to increase sperm count and also ecstasy and Percocet. James testified that Diddy took Percocet throughout the day and switched to ecstasy at night. One of his preferred ecstasy pills was even stamped with Barack Obama's face. Perhaps the most sinister revelation is how Diddy allegedly used surveillance and blackmail to control people. James testified about taking an ecstasy pill at one of Diddy's parties and dancing, what they called Diddy bopping. Days later, Diddy called him into the office, showed him footage from the party, and said he wanted to keep the video in case I ever need it. This wasn't about having fun memories. This was about having leverage. Prosecutors say Diddy used the same tactic with explicit videos of his victims, threatening to release them if they didn't comply with his demands. It's a pattern of using people's most vulnerable moments against them. The most powerful moment in all this testimony might be the simplest. James recalled standing on a dock outside Diddy's Miami estate with a young Cassie Ventura. She was only 21 or 22, just starting what would become an 11-year nightmare relationship. When James asked why she didn't just leave, her response was devastating. "I can't get out. Mr. Combs oversees so much of my life," she told him. "He controls my music career. He pays for my apartment. He gives me an allowance." This wasn't love. This was captivity disguised as a relationship. As Capricorn Clark prepares to take the stand, the weight of all this testimony is becoming clear. These aren't just isolated incidents or disgruntled employees making things up. The man who once ruled hip-hop culture now sits in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, held without bail as his former inner circle destroys any chance he had of maintaining his innocence. The judge hopes to wrap up the trial by July 4th. How's that for Independence Day? But for Diddy, if convicted on all counts, the only independence he'll be celebrating is life behind bars. The empire he built on fear and control is crumbling, brought down not by rivals or prosecutors, but by the very people he trusted most. His assistants have become his accusers, and their testimony isn't just damaging, it's absolutely devastating. With prosecutors planning 4 more weeks of testimony and witnesses from the LAPD and fire department still to come, this trial is far from over. But one thing is already clear: Diddy's own people have delivered the most crushing blows to his defense. When your inner circle turns against you this completely, when they're willing to face him in court and tell these stories under oath, that's not just testimony. That's justice finally catching up to someone who thought he was untouchable. The empire is crumbling, and it's his own people bringing it down, one shocking revelation at a time.